Good afternoon, dear colleagues. My name is Dr. Anjali Mehta. I work at Vasundhara Eye Center, Delhi, and I'm a GHHM 2324 alumnus. Today, I'd like to speak to you about our innovation, which is a biodegradable, sustainable body personal protective equipment with germicidal properties made of soap paper and gauze. You're well aware how harmful plastic is to the environment. About 400 million tons of plastic are produced per year, and 80% of this ends up as plastic waste. Because it is non-biodegradable, it has a devastating impact on the environment. You all know how harmful it is to humans, to wildlife, to ocean life, and it contributes to climate change. During the COVID pandemic, single-use plastics had to be used a lot because of the PPE kits, and these form about 40% of plastic waste. By some estimates, almost 1 million tons of polypropylene waste were produced a month globally due to the pandemic. And the amount of this single-use plastic generated was so overwhelming that it was labeled a shadow pandemic of plastic, which has still not been addressed, and we're still dealing with the outfall of that. As you know, the plastic PPEs which we had to wear were very hot, uncomfortable. They caused heat stress, dehydration, the movements were restricted. And of course, women who were menstruating were particularly uncomfortable. And most importantly, they were unsafe if carelessly disposed because viruses could survive on the surface for up to 72 hours. Our innovation is a PPE made of completely biodegradable soap paper. It is ecologically sustainable. It is very comfortable, easy to wear. And we hope that somehow we can help to reduce the use of plastic by instead using materials such as this. This particular material can not only be used for PPEs, but it has wider applicability both in medicine such as trolley sheets, shoe covers, caps, etc., and also non-medical use such as packaging material and so on. The idea for this came from the traveler soap booklets we put in our pockets or purses when we are traveling, where we just strip off this tiny piece of paper and use it because it is impregnated with soap. The innovation journey has spanned almost 1.5 years because one had to get a special spool of the soap paper created. Then we had to actually stitch it and see whether it could be made into a PPE. And a lot of modifications, addition of layers had to be done. And this process of refinement included things like sourcing the material itself, making a lot of changes to the thickness, viscosity, etc. of the material, continuous modifications of design. In fact, we did some of the steps of manufacture ourselves because the turnaround time was so long. Then the legal processes to obtain the patent, testing of the fabric in government, certified laboratories, seeing how best to sterilize it. So all this took a lot of time and effort, and then it has brought us to our current prototype, which is quite nice and wearable. It is comfortable, light, airy. It is made up of 3 layers, an outer paper layer, inner soap lining, and innermost cotton lining. It got an Indian patent in 2022, and we got the first prize for best innovation in our annual conference of the All India Ophthalmic Society. This has several advantages over the conventional plastic PPEs. Most importantly, of course, it is made from renewable sources and it is biodegradable. It also, for medical people, provides huge amount of safety because as we know that soap is virucidal to envelope viruses, the common viruses we encounter nowadays, COVID, hepatitis C, HIV are all envelope viruses, and they die on contact with soap. In fact, if accidentally wetted, the action of soap gets enhanced. And if they are carelessly disposed, because of this virucidal layer, it is much safer, unlike plastic where the viruses survive for 72 hours. Like I described, it's very lightweight, airy, breathable, easy to work in. It is less expensive than the conventional PPE. And one of the raw materials is coconut oil, and coconut oil forms the base for many of the skin products that are used nowadays. It's good for the skin. The raw materials are inexpensive, cheap. And we know that there are well-established processes for recycling paper. So we can even recycle this material when it's used for non-medical uses. Soap molecules have a polar head and a non-polar tail. And when they come with in contact with the lipid bilayer of envelope viruses, the tail gets inserted into that lipid bilayer and the virus is just destroyed. And many of the viruses which we have to deal with nowadays, such as influenza, RSV, HIV, and so on and so forth, are envelope viruses. So easy to destroy with this soap. People have used complex and sophisticated methods to bring germicidal properties to materials. For example, fabrics have been saturated with medical molecules such as PHMP and polymyxin. Some people are saturating monofibers with elements such as nanoparticles of silver, copper, zinc. But these are, little complex, expensive. And ours has a great advantage that because of its inherent antiviral property, which is low cost, there's no expensive technology involved. So it's easily replicable. While fashioning the prototypes, we did a lot of safety tests in government certified labs, and it passed most of the standards for plastic PPEs. The latest prototype, some of the tests are still going on. None of this would have been possible without so many people who helped, whether my colleague, Dr. Jitendra, a lot of friends in the medical and environmental groups, lawyers, a lot of people in the design and manufacturing industry, and most importantly, my family, my children, husband, parents, who always support any endeavor that one does. Our immediate priorities are to find collaborators and investors to scale up the final prototype. Because as an individual innovator, this is as far forward as I could take it. And since it has a great deal of potential to my mind, if we actually are able to make a lot of prototypes in number and conduct a large pilot study, it would help us get a feedback. And after that, it would be ready for commercial production. And simultaneously, one would like to set up a manufacturing unit which has its own R&D and administrative team and all that, and really take this forward, because an idea is good only if it actually sees fruition and actually is made properly. Why it is a good fit for MSF is because their ethos has always been to work with simple materials. And as we can see, this is easy to replicate in low resource settings. It is very economical. It is safe. It has a germicidal coating. And in fact, the manufacturing process is simple. So one can always co-opt local artisans to help in making this, and in fact have a lovely integration with the local community. The raw materials are easily sourced and probably available worldwide. These are some of the references. So I hoped you've liked this innovation, and please tell me your thoughts and what you think about it. My contact details are given above, and thank you for your kind attention.